Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Get up early, work hard. My parents said this to us every day as they left for Las Piscas. And it's what I'll do every day for South Texas. Build relationships with both parties and deliver. By passing middle-class tax cuts, creating thousands of jobs, lowering the cost of healthcare, and fully funding law enforcement and border security. While people in Washington fight each other, who will fight for us? I will. I'm Henry Cuellar, and I approve this message.
Back at you in Gloves Off, and we're having a great sit down here with Judge Chuy Garza and Hilario Cavazos. Both of them know politics of Webb County probably better than most that are out there claiming that they do. Okay, and that's just a fact. And we're going to be touching base on the campaigns, how the campaigns are going, who are the movers, who are the shakers, and who are those who are just going to be left behind, because we have a lot of people out there. And believe me, folks, today was the last day of early vote. Elections are on Tuesday, and there is somebody that fits your personality, so exercise your right on Tuesday. Go out there. Believe me. Judge, thank you for being here.
Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Hilario, you're always a pleasure to talk to.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Paul.
you for being here.
Thank you so much for the invite.
And
I'm humbled.
we're back at it again with the elections. And I want you guys to talk a little bit about each election, each election, who's running, and we'll take it down. I guess we're going to go ahead and start it off with U.S. Congress District 28. On the Democrat side, we have Henry Cuellar, our current congressman.
The incumbent.
Then you have Jessica Cisneros. Then you have Tanya Benavides. And on the Republican side, you have 7 candidates. You have Sandra Whitten from Laredo. You have Rolando Rodriguez from the Valley. You have Ed Cabrera, also from the Valley.
Yes.
You have Casey Garcia from McAllen, the Valley
She's
area.
from McAllen, Edinburgh area.
Yeah, in the Valley as
She's
well.
a former staffer for Ted Cruz.
Yes. And then you also have a Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Fowler from San Antonio. You have Willie Ning Vasquez from San Antonio as well. And you have a former veteran by the name of Eric Hockman, which is, and I've talked to all of them, and they all seem pretty great people. But how do you all think? Judge, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to, the more exciting race, I think, is obviously the congressional race, the Democratic Party primary. Obviously, because you got a sitting congressman. And everyone seems to know who Henry Cuellar is in the Cuellar family. It's synonymous with South Texas politics. It's nothing new. Had a good reputation, has always had a good reputation, has done very well for himself. Of course, the last election was certainly a wake-up call for the Cuellar campaign. This election certainly is more than a wake-up call. I think it's just it's a barn burner. We have the same elements playing, the same parties playing that we did 2 years ago, except we have a brand new spectacle, and that's the issue of the FBI rate.
The spin on it.
Yeah.
I predicted that at the end of the campaign, when Cisneros lost to Cuellar, I predicted that part 2 is coming, and part 2 is here, and it seems to have more drama this time with the FBI raid. Now, Cuellar was cruising for a victory, big time. Everything was set. But now that the FBI raid has happened at his home and at his campaign offices, I don't know if the offices in McAllen and San Antonio were hit, but it leaves you to wonder, and I know that the Cisneros campaign is putting a spin on it, on her advertisement, that there could be a possible Washington federal grand jury indictment. It could happen. I don't know how true that is or what. Like they say, he has not been charged with anything. But this is the other thing I hear in the community, The FBI doesn't go over to your house unless they have probable cause. And they did have a court order to search his home and the office. Now, why would the FBI go? That's what I want to know. The Texas Tribune has been deeply into it. They were interviewing young people at Texas A&M University, International University here in Laredo, and some of the young people were said, look, Cuellar is set in his ways in stone. Cisneros has a new approach. And then one guy says, a Cuellar supporter, businessman, well, okay, he's been damaged, but he's still our hometown boy. And the young lady rolls her eyes and said, well, I'm more than likely I'm for Cisneros. And her friend says, I don't know whether to vote for Cuellar or for Cisneros. And in the end of the conversation, the friend says, I hate what Henry Cuellar stands for. It makes you wonder, what are the young people thinking? Those that vote. Yes, I know that the older people like us are the ones that are consistent and we go out and vote, but how much damage has Henry been hit with? And who was behind these FBI raids? Was it the liberal wing of the party? Was it the AOC out of Brooklyn, New York, a congresswoman who was a big enthusiastic supporter for Cisneros? Or was it Senator Elizabeth Warren or what? There is a liberal wing of the party, the Democratic Party, that seems to have some influence or connections to the FBI to turn up the heat. That's the interesting thing.
Well,
I'm not trying to be negative on Cuellar. He, like you said, and I agree with you, he has a very good record, but all of a sudden, a lot of us were shocked. Oh,
but
what happened?
I gotta, to some
What
degree,
happened?
we gotta remove this, to some degree, this issue of the FBI.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't knock on your door and they say there's probable cause, there was probable cause. However, their record of political activities in terms of political investigations in some cases have been difficult to deal with. I mean, you could talk about the last 4 years with President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about Hillary Clinton under the FBI watch as
Yes.
well. There is some polarization, whether they like it or not, it gives that impression, and especially when you do a raid 30 days before a campaign, that, it gives a little bit of an air of polarization of probably legitimate FBI investigation, but it gives the air of potential
But
political.
the timing of this
Right,
is
the
what
timing
the
of
Tribune
this,
is saying.
yes.
Why did it happen to a senior member of Congress, probably one of the most powerful Hispanic Democrats? Henry's been there, 18 years? This would, if he gets elected, would have been 20 years or whatever? And why did it happen?
Well, it happened.
That's what people want to know.
Back in the 1990s, we had the same problem with Mayor Henry Cisneros.
Yeah,
He was under FBI investigation. He was a top Hispanic leader in the community back in the 1990s. Here comes the same situation, obviously a different set of facts. Again, you can argue either way, but at the end of the day, I've always had this thinking about politics in Laredo, and I'm probably wrong, maybe wrong. But the point of the matter is that young people tend to vote like their parents. So whatever discussions happening with the parents during that period of time is more likely that how they're going to end up voting. They tend to vote that way in a small election. Mm-hmm. However, the new generation is totally different now. They're very technologically savvy.
yes.
They can check Facebook and so on and so on and so on. And they just does not necessarily take what their mom and dad said yesterday or today. We all grew up with the Cuellar name in the last 20, 30 years.
Since 1986.
1986. So that name resonates with people of a certain population.
Yeah.
But the younger generation, is like everything else. There's a time of season for everything. And it could be that this is the time up for Henry Cuellar. Maybe it is Jessica Cisneros' turn. But we can say that, however, the issues of AOC, the issues of defund the police, allegedly, I don't remember her saying any of that, but the fact that she associates with people who believe in things like that, then they tend to, the older generation tends to disregard her because we're not going to go that far then.
Well,
Laredo continues to be a moderate, conservative
to me, she's
area.
it has the honorary title to Comrade Cisneros.
Whatever. The point of the matter is that the young generation has a totally different view than most of us in our generation, and so the question is going to be the turnout. And based on what we're looking at, again, I went out there to help register young people. I was one of several people who registered, over 700 people in the last 2 weeks before it ended. Spoke to a lot of young people. 20% of the young people have driver's license.
Yeah.
10% have the Texas ID. More than 50% do not have any ID. So here comes the voter law. And if you want to stop the young people from voting, we just found the law
Yeah.
that matches that.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that
Better
voter
have
laws.
your credentials. if
You
you're
better
gonna
have your
vote.
credentials if you want to go vote.
You wanna go
So
vote.
it helps the incumbents. It does not help the challengers, especially the young people, and But that's a different topic. But that's what's going on.
I'm gonna continue on with both of you all. You have Tanya Benavides, which is a local from Laredo as well, running in that race. You have Benavides. She's doing good. In her campaign, she started out strong, but I think losing steam now. But then you're looking
Does she have enough strength
I don't think so. I don't think
to
so.
throw this thing into a runoff?
Maybe.
That would be
She
interesting.
might have the strength to throw this into a runoff, but the Jessica Cisneros, she's been out there and she's doing some mudslinging, and Henry's out there. But the problem that I see here is this: I don't care what candidate wins. Let's say we lose Henry right now. Okay, something happens. There's going to be no candidate, neither on the Republican side nor the Democrat side, that can bring the money back to Laredo the way Henry's been doing.
No,
in
that's
the
true.
last
That's true.
couple-
That
in
would
the
be
last
argument.
years.
Yes, that would be
And-
the argument. It's a very, very,
And
very strong argument.
So Laredo needs money. The valley needs money. We need money. We're hurting all the. I mean, the city. Look what's happening with the city right now. We don't even want to touch base with that. But none of them are going to be in the appropriations committee, and that's probably a guarantee. Now, the thing about the investigation and what happened with the investigation, I'm with you. Why did it happen 30 days before? If apparently this happened so many years, the FBI does this, does that. Has a group of people in Washington militarized or FBI to the point that they're investigating politicians of high ends? I mean, they went after President Trump.
And they went after Hillary Clinton also.
Yeah,
so this
and
is that.
so are they? Is there that side to it? That they're using it against their own.
Yeah.
And if that's going on, then we're in a very, very peculiar age and in a very dangerous age for the United States.
I agree with you on that, Paul. It is a dangerous time, and like Judge mentioned earlier, these young voters are very savvy. I'm glad I'm not a candidate right now. I think I got in right before, and then when I ran for re-election, that's when this thing started to hit. Oh, no, well, you have this, and I said, I don't care. I am the way I am. If they want me, fine. If they don't, that's fine. It was a position that you don't get paid for. Yes, I do care about education, but the person they elected over me never showed up to the meeting, so
I think
who lost out?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, the young people, like we were young once.
Yes, we were.
We are very idealistic, and we had certain views, and we wanted change. And in fact, we all came in at the same time. Henry Webb was young. He was in his mid-late 20s at the time. So
He's 66 now. I'm 61. Your age is what? 62.
The same, yes, 62.
62. I'm going to be 62. So, and we are of that group, And
But they say, well, we were idealistic. He replaced Congressman
Henry Bonilla.
Henry Bonilla, Republican. He was able to beat an incumbent, Ciro Rodriguez. So, I mean, obviously, he came with a lot of hopes and dreams of our generation.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I helped him in that campaign.
But the younger generation, they really believe it's their turn. Whether we like it or not, they really believe it. And go back to Donald Trump. When he ran and he won, he shook up the establishment.
Yeah.
And guess what? Most of us were not happy about shaking up that establishment. And guess what? You know, he moved on and he did some good things while he was there. I'm sure you could say he did some good things. Many people believe he didn't. But
I think he knows how to run the economy.
Right,
better
well,
than
you
Joe
can
Biden.
say that. So I'm sure
That's my opinion.
Jessica Cisneros will tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
You gave him a chance to shake up the system. Give me a chance to shake up the system. So really, it's one of those things that the younger generation is going to believe.
But let's see how much
But at the end of
power
the
or
day,
influence
it's
you can
really
have.
who brings the bacon back.
Yeah, exactly right.
And
Now,
that drives, I think, the voters in our community.
That's
And I
what's
think-
driving the business voters.
Yes,
to
exactly.
conservative
Definitely.
wing.
Exactly.
You have to.
Yeah,
That
of
matters.
the moderate Democrats or
It matters.
conservative Democrats.
and now let's talk about the candidates on the Republican side. You know, there's some very interesting individuals. There's some individuals there that you're going to continue seeing in politics later on. You have very enthusiastic young lady, Sandra Whitten, here in Laredo, giving it a second shot. I believe that if she doesn't make this one, you're going to see her running for a local position, and she's probably going to get it. And you have Rolando Rodriguez from the Valley. He's also a great individual, very likable, very a person that you will see him in South Texas politics for a good while. You have Ed Cabrera, another individual that is very savvy, very knows
Cuban
his-
immigrant,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's now a rancher.
Yeah, so he's
in
a very
Hidalgo County.
he's a very likable guy, and you know,
Very well educated.
I've talked to Willie. Seems nice on the phone.
Yeah.
Cassie, the same thing. Eric Hockman, I think he's a great guy. I think you're looking at people that are going to be around the political spectrum and
I think
in
Cassie's
different
about
things.
36 or 38.
The problem, though, with the Republican Party, and I only speak of it locally,
Yeah.
they produced less than 1,000 votes early voting. I mean, it was just like less than 5% of the turnout.
Yeah.
For being the change party for South Texas, that the Republican Party was going to come make changes, it just hasn't developed. And so, really, I think the party needs to develop grassroots people.
It tries, Judge, but
they
it
need
just
to do it
doesn't
to make a change.
seem, I think there's more enthusiasm in the valley, heck, even in Zapata County, but for some reason, it doesn't catch fire here in Laredo. And Laredo, I admit, is a predominant, strong Democratic Party hold.
But many of the values that conservative Democrats have in Laredo are also similar to the values of a Republican Party. So I am surprised, though, that for whatever reason that the letter R, it just doesn't seem to attract more Hispanics, at least in this area.
And
And if you think you're going to beat Henry Cuellar or even Jessica Cisneros,
with 700 votes, it ain't going to happen.
Not here in Laredo, it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen.
Whether it's Cisneros or Cuellar is the nominee, they will win Laredo. And the
Yes.
Republicans are gonna have their work cut out.
They need to. If they want to change things.
I don't see a Republican candidate winning Congress seat 28. I see a Democratic nominee, whether a liberal or the incumbent, who is a moderate, in my opinion.
Now, we're going to go to the next very contested race here locally. Yes, there is a Republican, there's only one candidate which is Joe Brennan that's going against, for Texas State Representative, which is going against current incumbent Richard Raymond. But Richard Raymond has an opponent, which is Mr. J.D. Delgado.
Delgado.
Mr. Delgado. And how do you all see that race? Hilario?
I'll give the edge to Richard Raymond. That's what I do. And I don't know who put up this young man Delgado. He's a current Laredo College board member. I don't know what he's done, what he can attribute his record is on the Laredo College board, but I'm sure he's a nice fella. He's a family man. Yes, he wants to bring in new ideas, but Raymond has been there. And look at all the endorsements Raymond has, even from TSTA, which I used to be part of that organization. And Richard Raymond is a good guy. He's likable. In fact, some people saw this as Why are they going? The man has been through a difficult time. He went through a divorce, and then losing your oldest son, and then to go after him, it kind of turned me off. And I said, hey, Raymond deserves some respect, and
Absolutely.
and he's a good man. And
Well put. Well put.
the Republican, if Raymond is the nominee, and the Republican, I see Raymond taking it 90-10.
Yeah.
Some have said 80-20. I see Richard taking it big time, and even Republicans would go cross. But when it's the fall election, people that declare themselves really, most of them tend to split ballots. A lot of your Republicans, because there are some good Democratic candidates, and we are part of the community, and the decisions are made. And in my opinion, I think Mr. Raymond deserves to be reelected. I don't have anything against Mr. Delgado. The question I would put forth to Mr. Delgado: what are your accomplishments on the college, board of directors, and what ideas do you plan to offer? You say you're going to bring change. We need more medical services. We need more law enforcement. We need all of that. Well, how are you going to do it as a freshman state rep? Richard is a senior state rep. Richard knows people in both parties. He can work. Yes, he can sometimes be a little liberal, but he's a man of his convictions, and I respect him for that. I really do. But he's just a very likable person, and I feel people are going to vote for him, and he's going to get reelected, in my opinion.
Yes. Judge?
I feel the same way. Mr. Delgado, again, I look at it in the prism of it from a young person's point of view in terms of getting the vote out. And he's obviously younger. He has a lot of enthusiasm. He owns 2-3 businesses. He is, he's done decently well at Laredo College. Certainly, there's been no problems. He means well. He seems to have a sense of community. But having said that, at the end of the day, people are going to judge you with not only those issues, but they're going to judge you overall what you bring to the table. And Richard Raymond, though, has been here for many years, and obviously he's been able to deliver appropriations for A&M and for the local state agencies in Laredo. And he's always there when there are issues, and more than anything else, he's always been available. And so I think those are positive attributes that people want to see.
He does make himself available.
Yeah.
It's nothing against Delgado, but why are you using your board seat at the college to spring into state rep? I mean, what is it? You just ran for it. They're 6-year terms. You've got 2 years left. What is it that you want? Or why is it that you're running? Or did somebody put you up to challenge Raymond? Or what? What is your track record? You gotta have, you better have a clear message if you're gonna knock down an incumbent like Richard Raymond.
I'm going to say this. We've been dealing, and I've been working with in several bills that Richard Raymond authored. We put together that deal with parental alienation and interference with child custody, and a lot of that stuff that he's been fighting for in a long time, and he's been one of the only ones that stood up and fought for him. And he brought, when he was up there, and especially in the House, he brought both. Almost unanimously passed. He brought Democrats and Republicans together. That's a type of leader that you need. You need both sides. Nothing wrong with Delgado, but I already know what Raymond is and what Raymond can do, and I would keep him. So that's the thing. I think he's going to pull it through.
I think Raymond's going to win.
I agree with you, Judge.
I do think that this Mr. Delgado certainly has a place, and certainly I would encourage him to run again if he doesn't win. Of course, maybe we could all be surprised, but certainly we want to allow him to continue to serve and want to continue, because we need the next generation to get ready to take over a lot of his positions in the near future.
Absolutely.
He has proven that he can run in the community. I would encourage him to continue to stay in politics. Nothing personal against him, but at this time, I feel that Raymond is the right choice, especially the way things are going in Laredo right now with the infrastructure problems. We really need some leadership.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna say this, Senator Saperini mentioned that these water issues, the communities of this size cannot afford it. The state is gonna have to step in. So legislation needs to be issued to address these issues in these small communities in South Texas or small cities like Laredo. I know Laredo's growing, but some of those pipes are old. Yes, if you want to criticize somebody, there was a lack of foresight in the Mayor Martin administration, in the administration of Aldo Tatangelo. They could have addressed it back then. Or Saul
Mayor
Ramirez.
did get us all the streets.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
People don't know that.
Yeah, no, I know.
No,
that.
I know, but the younger generation does not know that.
Tatangelo did a lot. In fact, Tatangelo should be respected more. Should be a school named after him.
Yeah.
I'm glad they named the city council chamber. Some people will say, "Oh no, well I don't think he did." No, Tatangelo deserves
We
it.
got that little street named, and of course it's purpose.
I think they should have done better,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
But if I may, I know we're gonna change the subject, but real quick, there is a serious voter distrust towards the city and the county, more specifically the city right now.
Yes, sir.
And even after they fix the water, that distrust is gonna be there. Wait till November. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see the voter turnout.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that could escalate, and I agree with you on that.
Yep.
There is no trust in the city. There is a lack of trust too in the county,
Yes.
but not as bad as the city.
Right.
The city right now is in bad shape.
Yes, very bad shape.
Yes.
And we can have another sit down, talk about how bad shape the city is. But
Yes.
right now we have, what other, let's go with the other election that affects us will be the election that's coming up,
You got
with,
the
Margie
city,
Ibarra?
well, yes, okay.
which is Webb County Clerk.
We're
Yes.
Webb County Clerk, right?
So Webb County Clerk, there is a race, you have two Democrats, which is you have the incumbent Margie Ibarra, and then with Mr. Jaime Montes.
Right.
How do you all see that? Let's start with you first.
I don't know, Margie's always been well liked. I don't see there's a need for change unless Montes is gonna move mountains. I mean, he's a nice young fella, but I would give it to Margie Ibarra, hands down, in my opinion. I mean, to me, Margie's very popular,
Yep.
not controversial.
Judge?
Well, normally the county clerks and district clerks they get to last like 20, 30 years because obviously these people are non-controversial and they just basically are the recorders of the record. And their job is just to play a low profile and get all the paperwork and stuff like
She
that.
does her job.
Yeah, but I think that in this case with Jaime Montes running, he used to work for the sheriff's office. He right now works at the city, so he has he has a 4-year degree, and he seems to want to run a real campaign. And I miss those real campaigns. You know, we haven't had any real campaigns. There's very few of those in Laredo now, where you have headquarters, you have people dressed up. They got enthusiasm. So I give them an A, obviously, for enthusiasm and for the ganas to want to go and try to make a difference in the world. I give them
He
credit.
has every right to
Yeah,
run.
and all these young people, I always encourage them, or even any age. So I like to think that, that he can pull it off. Because I think that he does have a message of change, that, it's been a clean race as far as I'm concerned.
I just think
But the
edge
thing
to
is,
the
if you look at
county.
the numbers, it's just like you look at the numbers, the voter turnout is just not big. And when they're not that big, then, the incumbents tend to
It's to
win.
the advantage of the
Yeah.
incumbent.
So,
And I'll put my 2 cents in there. Like I said, Jaime Montes is a nice guy, but Margie Ibarra is too well liked. I'm gonna have to say that Margie's probably gonna take it
I
about
give it to
70.
Margie.
70-30, and I think that's what's gonna end up happening.
I would
think-
say between 60-40, 70-30.
I would say that there's a lot of people out there, again, there's a lot of people out there who are not expressing their opinions, and they're speaking against the incumbents because of everything that's been going on. And so I just don't know if that'll be enough to carry people across the board, but if there's enough of that, you could make a change.
Sure. Now, the next one is County Commissioner Cindy Liendo, and she has two other opponents. Cindy Liendo is the incumbent. She has Ricky Jaime, and then you have Mike Castaneda Judge, how would you call that one?
No, that's gonna be a runoff.
I call it a
that,
runoff, too.
that normally is a runoff, but I think it depends on what Mr. Castaneda does. This is definitely one of those races where there seems to be a big, huge disappointment with the president, Commissioner Cindy. I have not talked to anybody in the community that has been comfortable with the work that she has done in the community. So, I mean, but she has the big support because she has the Liendo name, and that matters. In the West Side, the Liendo name is like the Cuellar name. It does resonate. And so, yeah, she's gonna definitely have a lot
My
of work.
question is why did she attract two candidates? She is the incumbent. What is it that the voter might be dissatisfied with her? That's the
I think
that's the
they
interesting
I think that
question.
because they saw the neighborhoods and they're asking, what have you done in the West Side?
In other words, a lack of economical development.
Yes.
That's what we're
Yes,
seeing.
and to some degree, I think Alisa Cigarroa in the city, that's what got her in.
Yes,
to some degree.
definitely. That's
Other
what
than,
got
you know,
Elisa. At least,
yeah.
I see Elisa trying more.
Oh, definitely.
Cindy.
People do unconsciously compare both of them, and they say, why is this commissioner not doing as much as a city councilwoman doing?
Okay. Another question, another deal that I've commented, that I've heard about Cindy Liendo, does not pick up the phone, does not return phone calls. People expect you to return phone calls. Look, I was there at the board on LC, and I returned every phone call, and I remember. As soon as I left, changed the number, because I would get some calls. Are you gonna run again? I said, no. I said to, I wanted to run, but then I said to myself,
You can always.
I know, I
get your own
can,
phone
but I
number.
said it was the last campaign when it was. And I have my reasons now because of my grandkids that I choose not to run, and I like the lifestyle I'm leading
Good,
right now.
good.
It's a young man's game, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah, I was there. Yes, I can jump back in if I wanted to, but I like having my free time.
And not being bothered, but I want to finish that point that you're raising, the issue concerning Ms. Yendo. And also because you also have
She's a nice lady.
She's a nice lady. She's a wonderful lady in terms of being very charming.
Yeah.
But the point is that you also see Ricky Jaime there, and you see a professional in him, you see a businessman there,
Yeah.
and you see someone outside the normal type of politician. And I give it easily to Ricky Jaime.
Okay.
Ricky Jaime is going to be the next.
You
commissioner.
would,
I think he'll win.
okay. I believe that it'll be Jaime and Liendo.
Right.
Could be wrong. It would be a real big surprise if it was Jaime and Castaneda in the runoff. That would be a very big upset.
It could have been Castaneda if I saw some more activity,
Yeah.
but I just didn't see. But he is also another young man who certainly has potential
Yeah.
and who could also in the future run for office again.
Definitely.
So I give him a lot of kudos.
The two young candidates here definitely have a future in Laredo
Yes.
Webb County politics.
Yes.
But I would say Jaime and Liendo in the runoff.
Yes. Yeah, that's who I see too.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have another one. We have Justice of the Peace precinct where current Oscar Liendo is running, and he's the incumbent, and he has two candidates against him. He has Ed Gonzalez, then you have attorney Christian Mendiola. Hilario, you take
My opinion is it's a runoff between Liendo and Miss Chrissy Gonzalez. I've faced Ed before in my re-election. His support comes from the Laredo Rotary Club. I have nothing against him. I was kind of surprised why he chose to run against me, but I believe the leaders were behind that. But it doesn't bother me, and wish him well in this race. But in my opinion, I see the attorney, Ms. Chrissy Gonzalez, and the current judge, Mendiola, and the judge, Liendo.
I totally agree with you. I think that Mr. Gonzalez obviously means well, and I encourage him to continue running. But in this thing, sometimes you have to run 2-3 times to finally get in, because it's difficult to get that name ID out there and for people to believe you or get to know you. Laredo still, to me, is a relationship type of city. If you don't have a relationship with people, they're not going to vote for you. Or if you don't get that impression of that type of feeling. Oscar Liendo has that type of feeling where people can go shake his hand, say hello to him. And so can Chrissy. And Chrissy is the attorney. You normally give it to an attorney because obviously I think when you do the judicial part of it, the lawyer definitely helps being the judge. It's always better to be a lawyer than a non-lawyer, in my humble opinion. But having said that, you got people like Oscar Yendo, has been there for about 8 to 12 years, who's demonstrated a comparable accomplishment of the law, enough to be able to handle the work that he's doing. But at the end of the day, again, it's all about relationships. Who's got the most relationships?
Yeah, who's got the most relationships?
And I think Chrissy definitely has, not only has the title of being an attorney, but also has a lot of friends out there.
Oh, yeah, she does.
So, but there will be a runoff because Ed Gonzalez has put a very formidable race out there together.
Yeah.
I give him credit. He's run before.
Ran against me.
He runs and he runs. He hasn't made it yet.
You
But
know.
you know what? I give him credit because Margie Vada ran 3 times.
Yeah,
One Gatsa ran 3 times.
yeah.
People run several times.
You don't get it on the first
You don't
shot.
get it the first
It's
shot.
time to hang it up.
Exactly. So I think it'll be again, like you said.
I agree with you. The attorney has somewhat of an advantage
Yeah.
and does know judicial, but yes, Diendo has held his ground.
Yeah.
So this will be very interesting between the attorney, Ms. Mendiola, and Judge Diendo. And I have nothing but respect for both candidates.
You know, I have respect for all 3 candidates. I know them very well. And I do believe it's going to be a runoff. And it's going to be a runoff between the current judge and the attorney, Chrissy Mendiola. I think, and nothing against Ed.
No.
I just see, and we could be wrong, but I think it's
We
going
could
to
be
end up.
very wrong. And
You know,
you run it on
but it's
Wednesday
gonna be-
morning and we
it's-
could be
We
wrong.
could be very wrong.
I mean, we did the presidential last time around. We did several other ones. We were wrong.
I was wrong about Trump getting reelected. You were right about Biden.
But
But
never
you know, I didn't lose sleep over it.
No,
Okay,
so
Chewy
we-
was,
so
Judge
we
Chewy
win.
was right.
Sometimes we
But,
don't
but I'm
worry.
not gonna be yelling at
We're
people,
gonna be-
hey, Trump lost.
We can't
Listen,
expect to get
I just said, watch the gas prices go up. Sure enough, I was
Oh,
right.
yeah, you're absolutely correct. You were correct on that one.
Yeah.
And who else, what other races there?
well, the biggest ones were those 2, the county commissioners. The other ones, of course, is South Laredo. And again, you got a very competent Rudy Gonzalez running against a very competent Bobby Quintana running for judge down there. Both have community spirit.
It's
as far
another
as
JP
concerned. It's
judge.
that JP position. And I don't run in that area in terms of, I don't have connections that much. So I couldn't tell you how that's gonna play
I
out.
couldn't tell
But
you.
I'll tell you this, that being a judge, I mean, obviously because I was a judge for many years, they tend to last a long time. They don't get replaced. There's only one exception where we replace the judge after 1 year.
Yeah.
But everybody else stays there 12, 14, 16, 18 years. And
Quintana seems like a lot to
Quintana would be
follow.
the one, Quintana would seem logically the one who has the edge.
And Rudy
But
seems
Rudy,
like a
Rudy
little fella,
is a
too.
city councilman and he's been running in that race, so he has his name out there too, so.
So that race could go either way, but you have to give the slight edge to the incumbent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, I know Rudy very well. I've met the judge several times. I think it's such a close race, it can go either
Either
side,
way.
they're all related,
Mhm.
and it can
And
go either
and
side.
incredible, they're both related to each other.
That I didn't know. That's,
Yes,
But,
it's-
that's
I wonder
fascinating.
how- Yeah, it is.
So, but
Yes.
what's here is gonna decide what's been going on with the city in the last week and
That
and
could
a
be-
half.
That could
and-
be Quintana's advantage.
And that
with
could
the
go
city.
to Quintana's advantage, I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
on
that could be the slight
People
edge
might
for
get mad
Quintana.
at you, you know what, you didn't do this, boom, you're gonna get out anyway. So so people, listen,
My thinking there is it's who has the most relatives on either side. I mean, because
Very
allá
true.
los dos son primos.
Yeah.
you know,
Son
but
los
here,
primos, ¿quién tiene más primos? ¿Quién se va los más primos de este lado? Los más amigos. That's just the way it works.
the water issue
Yeah.
is a problem. And
Old
that,
Fidel Ramirez was right. Water is going to be an issue. May he rest in peace.
Yes.
But when he would run from here, Lao. Now his words are coming back to haunt
Yes.
Laredo.
but it's not really, we have water. The problem that we have here is negligence in just complacent individuals that say, na, mañana lo hacemos, or other world,
The
We have-
Montana syndrome. That's what my mom said.
Exactly. We have to go back and I don't want to stray off, but This is a horrible
But
situation.
no, I want to stray off a little bit because really
You know,
the water thing is a
we
serious
are
problem.
we're in a problem here that they're pointing the fingers not only at each other, they're pointing the finger at past, and they're pointing the finger at everybody else. But wait a minute, you're
You're
the
there
head.
right now.
You're there right now.
You better deal with it.
You know,
Show some leadership.
you got people doing folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. We went in there from the elections. The elections are on Tuesday. It's election day. Go out there and exercise your vote. And some of these individuals will probably be running again for a runoff, probably a good portion. And like
The
I said,
election will be
the election's
on May
probably
24th.
on May 24th after that one.
Yeah, March
And then-
1st, and then, like you set the date, May 24th.
May 24th, and after that, then it's in November.
November the 8th.
Yeah.
November 8th.
And if they're runoffs, do they have the date set up?
I think
I'm
it's
sure-
for December 10th or 11th, somewhere on there. I'm not sure. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. The city does not run until November,
Yes.
so wait until then, you know, but please go out there. and
I
vote.
do believe, before we end the show, I believe there are two candidates for sure, from the current council that will run for mayor. Okay.
There, like I said, there's going to be,
And maybe one new council member, maybe.
there's several seats out there because the mayor's not going to be there. You have running for re-election, you have two, then you have two more that are not going to be there anymore. So you have 5.
What about the mayor? Does he have any other political ambitions, or you think he's just about done,
I don't know.
in your opinion?
Well, I think that
I wish him
he's
the
a
best.
Well, he is
He's a nice guy,
He's still a nice
but
guy.
He's a nice guy.
he's a nice guy. But you know, sometimes you have to realize maybe
Well, remember, the charter didn't give him too much power, but the bully pulpit is still his,
yes,
and he could have used it.
he could have befriended everybody and gotten everybody together and kind of think alike and
I want to
stop the
say
arguments.
something, but I think
But,
I shouldn't.
well, but to me, Lario, it just seems to me that,
It's
to
a
me,
lack
number
of
one
thought.
is the distrust in city government is so big, and part of the county, of course,
Yeah.
that would be that's gonna override everything, that plus the water issue.
I'm in agreement with you. I'm not gonna
Those
argue
are the
with
top
you
two
on that.
issues.
Yeah.
And if you're part of the city council right now and you're running for mayor, good luck, because you have not shown as much leadership that you should have shown.
There are two candidates there,
Yeah, and
and possibly one.
I think that
It's a
the
female.
next mayor will end up being someone who's not part of city council.
Yeah,
Unless, of course, things change, and there's always a possibility. things change.
listen. The Wuhan flu, the shutdowns, the water, the lack of leadership is going to haunt everybody, all the incumbents that are running in this year's November election and the others for re-election. Unless they do something tremendously, like tomorrow they fix the pipes and they put piping all over all the streets of Laredo from within 24 hours, which is not going to happen. I
would
mean, it's
agree
gonna
with you.
haunt them, and it's gonna be on them, and it's gonna be very, you know, they're gonna have to be giving away a lot of hot dogs and flying kites and movie nights to make people forget,
Yeah.
but people
Or
won't
the
forget.
little gift packs that they would give out in the county judge's race, to have a pop CD,
Oh,
little
really?
gift card
I never got one of
from,
those.
I never got one of those.
little gift card from
I-
Sam's.
I did-
Visa gift card.
I didn't get nothing, none
We
of
made a little
that.
free movie pass to the
No, we got
now
nothing.
defunct close cinema, discount cinema.
They're all
No.
closed. Hey, you know that they're all closed.
They're all closed.
Yeah, except the Alamo. But this one, the one up
And
here
I
in
think the
Jacamans,
mall.
they're
By
shut
the way,
down.
the mall is what, half empty?
No, it's crazy. I mean, it's
people-
ridiculous.
Bad.
Folks, until next time, much peace, stay
Peace
safe,
and love, man.
and help others, because right now we're in that time of need. Till then.
Just fix the water.
Thank you.